News dump. Oh.
Yeah? Little Johnny Bravo over there?
Other day, I said to my wife, hey, I'm going to go get a haircut in a couple days.
Okay.
Do you have any suggestions for me?
Sure.
You know what she says to me?
What's that?
Yeah, one that an adult would get.
Fucking wrecked you.
What am I going to fucking put swear words in the back of my hair?
If you just got fuck shaved into the side of your head, I would respect the hell out of that.
I was thinking out of spite, which also might just end my fucking marriage, sex / having sex and whatnot.
Yeah, right.
Get the classic horseshoe pattern. Leave a little on the side and pull it over. How's that for an adult?
So, does she not like your typical haircut? Is that what she's saying?
I mean, I've kind of phased out my old haircut anyways. That was more of my 20s. I'm turning 35 in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're old. You're old as fuck.
I don't know what to do with my hair anymore. I only get a haircut like once a month, once every 2 months now. What's the point
keep
of life?
It so long up top that you really only have like 1 or 2 options.
No, but I'm willing to get rid of this. I was asking her, I was being very sincere. I was like, I was kind of like really asking for help.
Yeah, right.
And what I got was, get back in your hole. You fucking monster.
She doesn't like tugging on it. She's not into that.
No.
Are you into that?
Not really. My son does it. I'm like, you got to stop, buddy. Just grabs him out of the hair and just pulls.
You're about to take an elbow to the face, pal.
Yeah, but I guess send me your suggestions. How should I cut my hair? And please don't be mean. News dump. Terrible news, sad news. R.I.P. Carl Weathers. You would know him from the Rocky franchise. The Mandalorian. Happy Gilmore. He played Chubbs, Predator, Action Jackson, and quite a turn. I wouldn't say a heel turn because it wasn't him turning bad, but him popping up in Arrested Development really added a whole new wrinkle to who he was.
Yeah, it was a nice end of his career sort of thing because you didn't really see him after Arrested Development. At least I don't remember seeing him in anything after Arrested Development. So it was a nice little...
The Mandalorian.
Oh, true. Good point.
Yes.
Both nice little cherries on top of his long storied action movie career. And then he plays much more subdued roles there. It seemed like Carl Weathers was one of those few guys that fucking everybody liked.
It was also one of those things where you hear his age and say, wait, he was 76?
Right. He should be older almost, I feel like.
Well, so you think that he should be older, but then you look at him and you say, maybe in his 50s?
Oh, yeah. Looks wise. Yeah, he probably looked about 60. He was doing pretty well.
I would say late 50s.
Okay. Fair enough.
We're really splitting hairs here. But yeah, he was an awesome actor. He seemed like he was awesome off the set or on the set of movies and off the screen as well. Interviews with him, he, always seemed genuinely happy to be there. And then you don't always get this, but like Adam Sandler, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, they all put out, great videos and everything else to commemorate and, talk about what a great guy he was.
Do you think, this is a bit of a Keefspiracy, do you think that Gina Carano had anything to do with his death?
Well, we do see that she is suing Lucasfilm / Disney because she wants to be recast in the Star Wars universe. Do you think she wants to be Greef Karga?
I don't think she wants to be recast. I think
that's in the lawsuit, though.
I think she just wants some money. So she wants to be offered the role back so she can say, no, I don't want it on my terms.
News dump. Oh, Henry Cavill, no like the sex, he said on Happy, Sad, Confused, which that sounds like me during sex, that he's not a fan of sex scenes in film and television, and he believes that it does work in some circumstances, it does benefit, but he also feels like they're mostly a cop-out. And I'm not talking about Kevin Smith's cop-out.
Henry Cavill was doing everything right and saying everything right for years.
Yeah.
For years. Fan favorite from the nerds, the dorks. And then he comes out with this fucking bullshit. You kidding me, Henry? Shut the fuck up and get naked.
What?
You heard me.
How does that add to a scene? Him just stripping down naked. And also, what role are you thinking about?
Big week for dogs. You see the Drake video?
What was it?
You see the Drake video?
You didn't put it in News Dump. I'm not going to search it.
It's a big
I
win
only
for
look for what
dogs,
we
Goo.
outside of this rundown. I'm not looking for anything.
Henry Cavill, listen, leave the sex scenes alone. We get so few as it is. He's acting as if every property throws a sex scene in there. We very rarely get sex scenes.
I was gonna say, so like, yes, there are some television shows. Usually it's maybe like an HBO thing that you're like, well, maybe they didn't need this sex scene here. They just kind of had to meet a quota. But for the most part, movies aren't sexy anymore. So what is
No,
he talking about?
right? I don't get it. I don't understand it. And not for nothing, Henry. People have sex, so sometimes that shows up on screen.
If anything, if he wants to make a list of the sex scenes that he wants removed, we should then be able to add sex scenes into other things.
Yeah, it's gonna
Like
find.
let's at least even it out.
I agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
I know Henry's listening right now. I call him Hank. Hank, if you want to send in your list, we can have a talk.
Hanky calves.
News down. Tom Holland had huge news, and he announced that he had the biggest news ever, maybe on Monday or Tuesday. And then the news was that he is going to be in a stage production of Romeo and Juliet.
You were so confused by this announcement that you thought it was a movie at first.
No, I just didn't read the whole thing. I was
No.
pissed. Like, I
That's
didn't
what
care. Once I saw that it was Romeo and Juliet, I'm like, I don't give a fuck about this.
Yeah, he's gonna be in a Romeo and Juliet stage play in London.
Like, if it was Romeo and Juliet performed at Goo's house, I still wouldn't care.
You got like 10,000 people living in England. That's all the people that can go see this. No one's flying to England to go see Tom Holland and Romeo and Juliet.
Like, unless he's playing Tybalt, maybe Mercutio.
What's the population of England, do you think?
25, 30?
Do you think it's less than the state of New York?
England or London? Like the city or the country?
No, the country.
Someone help us.
I bet they're pretty similar. I think the state of New York has like 12 million people. I bet England's right around the same.
News down. The Marvels is now available on Disney Plus.
I think it's an opportunity for people to find out how solid this movie is. It seems to be sort of underrated at this point because no one's talked about it, and it was a pretty decent entry into the MCU.
I have gotten a couple texts about it already, being like, hey, what did you think about this, this, and this? So I think some people that didn't have a chance to go to the movies. Actually, I was talking to my mom about this last night. We talk sometimes, me and my mom, just about how ridiculously overpriced it is to go to the movies. Like, if you are a family of 3 going to the movies, you are spending almost $50 on tickets alone.
Yeah, at least that. And then if everyone wants a popcorn, that's another fucking what?
Even if you're splitting a big popcorn, that's like $15.
Yeah, it's a tough sell. Although the theater near us does do $7 Tuesdays, so I guess just go on Tuesdays.
You get the big popcorn to split, and then you eat too much of it too quick.
Yeah.
You have a tummy ache, and then you're getting yelled at for eating too much of the popcorn. Has this ever happened to you?
Has this ever happened to you?
News dump. Jeremy Renner is ready to return to the MCU via ET now. He said that he is feeling stronger and ready to return to his role as Hawkeye.
Now, this starts a run of headlines that Goo so devilishly crafted up in his lab this week. He was so excited to do News Dump that he texted me when he started the document and said, hey, just so you know, I'm on one this morning.
Do you think that we should just turn News Dump into a Mac v. Goo of headlines?
Each topic we do a headline.
I actually wouldn't mind if you want to start doing that. We'll swap off headlines. Like, we'll pick the topic and then we'll just start rotating back and forth. I think yours stink and mine are fantastic.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's usually what you think about all your stuff. I think Jeremy...
I'm just like Donald Glover. I think that I'm... You see that headline, by the way? Is like, I'm the shit, and what I think about and what I think is cool is cool.
I did like him so confidently saying he's more talented than Lil Dicky, which he is.
We'll get to that in a second. We'll get to him in a second.
Okay,
right. Go ahead.
I'll say some thoughts then. Jeremy Renner in a Hawkeye, the show was great. I really liked where the character's at now, where he's over the hill. He's a retired Avenger, but he can still be of some use.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, I don't want him to come back full bore. I want him to sort of come back almost. Here's a good example for you in like Batman Beyond. I want him to be the old Batman. I want him to be a man in the chair helping, but he can't really do it anymore.
Yeah. And then also we have Paul Bettany, who said that he is ready He is set to return as Vision in the MCU. I'm curious if that is White Vision or if they're going to try and do something where he's the other Vision, or
That's one of
maybe he'll say, "I don't want to put the makeup on. Please don't make me put the makeup on."
that's one of the biggest open-ended and unanswered questions we have in the MCU right now. It's been 3 years, I think,
Yeah.
since WandaVision came out, and they just haven't mentioned or even
I don't think
alluded
she
to
even
White
mentioned Vision in Strange Mom.
Yeah, there's nothing. There's been no mention of Vision and White Vision, so I don't know. I don't know if they know what they're gonna do. So
Sam Rockwell also recently said that he is ready. If they want to give him a call for Armor Wars, he would return as Justin Hammer.
I love Sam Rockwell. I'd be happy.
I do
to have
too,
him
but
back.
also I don't think Armor Wars is going to happen. That seems like we're okay. So when they say that they're making too much stuff,
Yeah,
that's something that you can scrap.
I agree. No
You
one
can
wants that.
recycle, if you will, like armor. Do you recycle armor?
I don't know. I've never owned armor.
It's a good point. And then also, just speaking of the MCU, we got some set photo leaks from Daredevil Reborn. We saw Karen Foggy, who has a beard now, and Bullseye, who should be called Doughboy. I don't mean to shame you, but you look a little fluffy.
They with all the press that has been surrounding this show now for like 2 years, they better stick the landing. Otherwise, you're gonna have a lot of real angry folks.
News down. Speaking of the MCU or the Sony, the SPUM universe, the Sony Pictures Association with Marvel, whatever the hell they're calling it, Donald Glover told Vanity Fair that he's too old to play Spider-Man, Miles Morales, in the Sony universe, but playing the Prowler in live action is in play.
Yeah, I think we'd all be on board for that. I think that tease we got in the first Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, which was what the hell was the name of that?
That is Homecoming.
Homecoming. And then of course we saw him pop up in Across the Spider-Verse in a nice little cameo. I think we'd all be on board for that.
Yep, and then he has also just Donald Glover news right now. He has also confirmed that the Community script is done, and he is all in for that movie, which is good because the speculation was like he might pop up in a couple scenes. You really need all. If Chevy Chase is not in this, you need all 6 of those cast members in it to really make it worth everyone's while. And he also confirmed that he has creative control on Lando.
Once again, and I'm not really a Community guy. I did watch it through a couple times. I think his impact on that show is oversold. The show is perfectly fine after he leaves.
I mean, he leaves the middle of season 5 and season 6. Those are not good seasons. They're not great seasons.
The show is perfectly fine with him not in it.
I disagree.
He's like my fifth favorite character from that cast.
And then also, while we're on Glover, what did you have with the news? Because I talked about he had some kind of a headline.
Two things here.
Yeah, go ahead.
He was asked point blank if he thought he was, because everyone is comparing him and Little Dicky because
they both had FX shows.
Yeah, they made FX shows, but they're completely different. He got asked point blank whether he thinks he's more talented than Little Dicky, Dave Bird, and he was like, "Yeah, of course I am, pretty much." And I don't disagree with him. He's obviously supremely confident in himself. The more noteworthy thing here is he said that Kanye West is the greatest rapper of all time, and without him, we wouldn't have some of today's rappers. And I think that argument goes against his argument for Kanye being the best rapper of all time. Number one, I do think you can make an argument for Kanye being the best rapper of all time. I think that argument exists. I wouldn't make it, but he's in the conversation. What has happened is Kanye is such a brilliant producer. You now have this last decade or so of rappers coming up, just like hammering home beats, pretty good, catchy beats. The rapping part sucks, though. There's so many bad rappers that are popular today. Not good at rapping, but a catchy beat. And I think that's really Kanye's effect is he has empowered a lot of these rappers to go beat heavy, I guess. And it's not for me. There's always going to be good beat makers. Give me the good rapper. That's all.
You sound so old. I think current stuff is cool.
No, it's pretty bad.
Also, with the Lil Dicky thing, I think that
Travis
what he
Scott
hates about
blows, by the way.
I think what he hates about the Lil Dicky comparison, because he's gotten it for 3 years, is he doesn't want to be compared to him. Because just like how Lil Dicky in season 1 hated when people said to him, "Oh, you're like the Lonely Island."
I don't think, from what I have gathered from the way that Donald Glover feels about himself, I don't think he likes being compared to anyone. Never mind Lil Dicky.
Well, he also hates that their shows are compared. And he actually one time wrote out a treatment of what Dave should have been. Like, he actually took like the concept of Dave. He's like, it should have been this. Which
I'll be
is
honest with you.
something
On the
else.
whole, Dave has been better than Atlanta.
I
Atlanta
mean,
has
you don't
much
like one
more
season of
down.
Atlanta. But
Yeah,
I don't like season 2 of Dave.
there's a whole season of Atlanta that sucked.
I didn't like
It was
season 2 of
bad.
Dave. So
Season 2 of Dave was subpar, but it didn't suck the way that season 4 of Atlanta or 3 of Atlanta. Which one was it?
3. But I would also argue that Paperboy is the best character out of any of those shows. I love Paperboy.
Gata's pretty good.
Gata is pretty good, but Gata last season wasn't great.
I don't agree with you.
Oh, well.
I also, man, I'm trying to. If you were gonna draft seasons of those two televisions, I think Dave's season 1 and season 3 would go in the top 3.
I think
Atlanta season 2 would be.
I think Atlanta season 2 and 4, and 1 is really good too.
One's really good.
One's inconsistent.
4 was pretty good. I think Dave season 1 and 3 and Atlanta season 2 are the top 3.
I think 4 is really good. But news dump. Max, Super Bowl 58 coming up this weekend. And on Goose Day, you'll be receiving an episode called Everything But the Big Game. Just like when you buy everything but the bagel, it's just seeds. That's what our episode's going to be on Tuesday. It's just seeds. It's going to be bird feed.
The goat seasoner.
I hope you're hungry, big bird. I'm going to put that on the soundboard.
All right. Okay. I am very excited for the Super Bowl because I think it's going to be a great game.
Yeah.
But more importantly, rumors are we are going to get the Deadpool 3 trailer.
Rumor has it it's going to be very Ryan Reynolds heavy. Because it looks like we're also going to get some If stuff too.
Oh, I thought you meant the Deadpool trailer.
Well, both.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Also, Planet of the Apes, looking to get a trailer there, and Wicked.
Did you see the If promo that had what's his face? Asian
both
Jim
Halperts?
as Jim.
Yeah, both Jim Halperts.
Yeah.
One good. Trailer that I thought we were gonna get during the Super Bowl, news dump, is A Quiet Place Day 1. And upon watching this, it reminded me that what I didn't love about A Quiet Place 2 is when we got away from the family. And also when it turns more into a creature feature. And what I love about the first one is we really don't see the monsters. It's the threat of, what happens if we make this noise? And we don't know what's going to happen. That's what is really magical about the first one. Does this heavy creature feature trailer get you going?
Yes and no. So I don't think you can operate in the silent movie anymore in this world. They already did it.
I want it to be black and white. I want people to be fiddling with their hats and canes.
They did it 1.5 times already, and I think it worked pretty well 1.5 times. So now we have to figure out why everyone's so terrified. And so this is the day 1 stuff. I'm not saying the trailer looks great. I just think it's the only option they had left if you're going to make movies in this universe.
Another option could be something else.
Could have not made it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Something else.
Okay.
News dump. Also got a trailer for Knuckles, the worst character from Sonic 2, who's pretty much just Drax the Destroyer, but not as good. It's not Dave Bautista.
Yeah, Idris Elba will be reprising his role, his voice over role here. 6-part series coming in April, I think.
And it looks like the first episode is going to have most of the main cast in it, and then he's going to go off on his own with the dumb cop.
Yeah, this is to me like, I don't know. I'm gonna watch it. I'm not like looking forward. to it.
If I didn't have a 3-year-old son, which by the way, my son loves Sonic now. He watched both Sonic movies in one day on Saturday.
That's pretty good. It's impressive.
And now he runs around the house like an idiot. I'm curious if him learning how to run from Sonic is going to ruin him later on.
That's better than a Naruto run.
No, it is a Naruto run.
Sonic puts Sonic's his hands behind his back. Moves, no?
No, Sonic puts his hands behind his back.
Huh. It is pretty similar.
That's what my son does.
Okay. All right.
He's going to smash his face on something.
Yes. It does seem like that's a possibility.
Yeah. But this looks fine.
Yeah.
Kids,
fine.
Kids love Sonic, so good stuff.
It'll be fine.
Something that I did not know was even being made, because I knew that we're doing a live action one. But Moana 2 animated movie hitting theaters this November.
This is weird, bizarre, and number one, you and I both agree that of the modern Disney movies, Moana is like
Love
far
Moana.
and away the
Yes,
best.
love Moana.
Like instant classic
And
on
also,
par with
it's
the old
picked
classics.
up so much popularity over the past couple of years, too.
Yeah, I agree. That said, all those original classics, every time they did a sequel, didn't work, wasn't nearly as good.
Toy
And
Story 2. Toy Story 2 is great.
Toy Story 2 is not a musical Disney movie.
Okay, I didn't know. I thought you meant Disney in general.
No. I'm talking about
Okay.
like your classic Disney sing-alongs.
Well, that's because most of those went straight to videotape.
Frozen 2 made a ton of money. The movie's not that good. I would even argue the original Frozen not that great, but very catchy songs. This is interesting because I feel like it's a sort of half-assed thing. No promo leading up until this year, and then Bob Iger comes out and says this was originally going to be a Disney Plus series.
That doesn't make me want to see it.
Yeah, which to me means quality subpar, and it gets turned into a movie, which means if you set out to make a series, number one, it was going to be subpar. Number two, if you couldn't even do a full series, doubles down on the subparness.
He went out there and he said, look, this was supposed to be a Disney Plus series, but we couldn't get beyond 2 hours. And quite frankly, it sucks.
Also, another detriment here: no Lin-Manuel Miranda co-writing the songs, which was a big.
He
reason
might
why
need
it was
a break.
Successful.
He might need to take a break.
I agree,
he's
but
the hardest working man in music.
He's a big reason why that the songs are so good.
And then also other Disney movies that are on the slate that they announced, and this doesn't really get me going either, is Zootopia 2.
Nope, no one asked for this. No one wants it.
Toy Story 5, which I do like the first 4 Toy Stories, but, hear me out. Toy Story 5.
Yeah.
And Frozen 3. Those are coming out in 2026. Zootopia 2025. We also got the Grogu Mando movie coming out in 2026. But let me ask you this, Mac. Is Disney afraid to make movies that aren't sequels right now?
Well, you look at, and by the way, Elemental, which came out last year, was actually pretty good. It was one of their better ones.
And it also, I think it did poorly its first week, but then picked up steam as it went along.
Yeah, they're not having as much success with their originals, so they are doubling down.
Yeah, because they had that other movie they had Wish last year that fucking bombed. They had that other Ship movie from the year prior that I couldn't get through 10 minutes of.
They just
tough time.
And again, it does sort of go back into my whole thing about them hitting the wrong demographic. They're now making movies for like 11 and 12-year-olds, and that I don't think is a good business decision. Like 11 and 12-year-olds aren't grabbing their parents to go to the theaters, aren't hounding them. Those are the 7 and 8-year-olds. They just gotta readdress what they're aiming for. Like Elementals, as much as I liked it, 6-year-old kid's not gonna really understand what the hell's going on in that movie.
This is very risk averse.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. Very safe.
News dump. Christopher Nolan, who has seen Dune 2, said, or he compared it to Denis Villeneuve's Empire Strikes Back.
None of those names were right. I don't know. So this is going to be interesting because the magic of the Empire Strikes Back is it's the all-time great blue balls, right? All-time great cliffhanger.
How are they going to do that again?
And they can't, because this is a conclusion to a story in this. Now, that Messiah book or story, whatever, is, I think, a continuation, but years down the line, or it's a prequel. I don't know, one of the two. So this is just a bad choice of movies to compare it to, Christopher.
I also think that everyone, and I'm not calling him lazy, but I feel like comparing things to The Empire Strikes Back is kind of lazy. It's kind of a go-to.
Yeah, it's like, oh, the second movie's better than the first, but it's also like that's a one-time thing that happens like that.
Also, not on the rundown, but Christopher Nolan also told some publication that he originally, when he finally got the miles of film of Oppenheimer done and ready to go, the first person that he showed was Steven Spielberg, and he watched Steven Spielberg watch the movie.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
No, but don't you hate showing friends movies?
I think at that level, Spielberg Spielberg is such a fart sniffing critic through and through. He loves the technical stuff. And
Oh,
if
yeah.
Oppenheimer's anything, it is technically perfect. The way the movie is made is absolutely perfect. So I think that's the type of person you want to get feedback from in that realm.
Is there anything worse, though, than showing your friend a comedy after you told them it's the funniest thing ever and they aren't laughing at the jokes?
Yeah, yeah. You gotta let them watch it on their own time for sure.
Yeah. News dump. Robert Downey Jr. recently said at something, this is via Griff Schiller, that he met with Christopher Nolan to play the Scarecrow in Batman Begins, but he lost to Cillian Murphy.
Oh, thank God. Because we never would have got Iron Man, right?
Yeah, no, this is
Thank God.
a good what if. Like
Yeah.
I prefer that we didn't go down this timeline.
Would Cillian Murphy had then become Iron Man?
No, I think that meant that Cillian Murphy would have been Bruce Wayne because that was one of the original screenings or like the original test footage.
Who finished second for Iron Man? Do we know?
I don't know because the rumor always was
Good
if it
question.
got made a couple years earlier, it would have been Tom Cruise.
Right. That would have sucked ass.
Yeah. News dump. Dustin wants death. Via CBR, Gaten Matarazzo says that Stranger Things needs to kill off more character. The show would be much better off if the stakes were much higher. And at any moment, any of these kids could kick it. We're too safe. Now, I do agree that they need to, if the stakes are as high as, all these fucking monsters running around, killing off a main character every once in a while would help.
Mm-hmm.
But the show does kill off characters. It's just whoever they introduce at the beginning of that season, we know that they're done for.
I think Gaten Matarazzo would be surprised to find out that most of us have this complaint with every property. Start killing more people. It just makes more sense. Also, via CBR, you can't tell me that's not Chicken Bacon Ranch. CBR is going to be Chicken Bacon Ranch.
Via Chicken Bacon Ranch.
How
yes,
about with
via
a different
Chicken Bacon
acronym?
Ranch. Also, what this show needs to stop doing is faking deaths.
Agreed.
I think we've had 3,
I don't think
4.
I don't think they're ever going to make that 5th season.
Oh, they absolutely are, and it's going to be a banger.
I don't think it's going to get made.
News down. We are getting another Jurassic World movie, and it is coming to us in 2025, which is, 7, 8 years down the line. But David Leitch is in talks to direct the new Jurassic World movie, with the OG Jurassic Park writer David Koepp returning to pen the script.
Yeah, this is interesting because the last 2 movies did not do all that well.
Well, this movie is going to feature none of the Jurassic Park or Jurassic World things.
Yeah, which I agree. If you were going to do it, don't bring anyone back. But at the same time, I don't think you should do it. I don't think you should make another Jurassic Park movie.
I'm not sure. I think the last one did okay at the box office.
No, they make money, but
they've been going down box office wise. It's the same as the original trilogy in the 90s too, where it's like boom, boom. I think this was very similar. The third one did better than the, but still not as good as the first two.
I mean, what story are you going to tell in that universe?
That's what I'm asking. Because you think, well, will they do some kind of a horror movie? That's what Fallen Kingdom was, where they made the dinosaur, tiptoeing around the house, talking to Buffalo Bill, acting like Bugs Bunny.
I like the idea of maybe they'll set it 50 years in the future where it's more of a dystopian world and there's dinosaurs free roaming the world. I only want maybe like 20 minutes of that.
That's not bad. Like, set it 50 years down the line and everyone's dead.
Yeah, for the most part.
And this is after the dinosaurs were let out of the area.
Yeah.
Also, there's a lot of dinosaurs. Pick some new dinosaurs. They've shown like 5 dinosaurs.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right.
News true. It sounds like a pitting end for Quentin Tarantino, who has cast Brad Pitt in his final flick, The Movie Critic, planned for a 2025 release.
I'm very intrigued as to what this movie is going to be because oh boy.
Oh no.
Oh boy. And
I think he's playing Joel Sherman, by the way. Not Joel. What's his name?
Joel Schumacher?
It's the Critic from the animated show, voiced by John Lovitz. He's going to do a John Lovitz impression.
I don't know. Like, Tarantino's been on such a roll the last decade, 15 years with his movies. And he's been doing movies that aren't like this. So I don't really know what this movie's going to be.
You know what I fear? is it's going to be a movie that's going to be a take up on people like us. People that have, no foot in the door of
Right.
how to make a movie, but we are here criticizing people that are putting their art on the line.
There is something to be said, and there is a genuine disconnect between people who make movies and people who consume movies.
Yes.
Because you and I love movies. We have a
Mhm.
movie podcast. We could give a fuck about most cinematography and shit like that. You know what I mean? And there's like 1% of moviegoers out there that they need to change their pants every time they see a great cinematography shot. And the issue is these directors are constantly like arguing for that 1% when we just don't give a fuck about that stuff.
First off, we need to make that a t-shirt of I love movies. I have a movie podcast. But I was watching, it was on TikTok, it was a reel, and I'm trying to think of, I think it was Ethan Hawke. Just a quick clip of him being like, when I'm on a set, the directors that I like to work with are the people that will answer the question why. Like if I'm asking as an actor, why am I doing this? There's a reason why I'm asking, because if the audience is also asking this question, then it is a dumb action.
It's a great point. And we have seen in the past too, a lot of great directors become hindered by their lack of talent writing scripts, and that's also a different talent.
Well, I think what has hurt the most is not having studios, forcing them to have editors that are taking movies down a certain amount.
Yeah, I agree. They need the no guy in there. There's a lot of artsy fartsy directors that make a lot of not so good movies that love telling us that we don't know what we're talking about.
Speaking of which, news dump. James Cameron loves the Apple eyeglass thing.
Listen, if someone wants to spend $4,000 for a pair of glass goggles, by all means, I'm sure they got some really cool features. This strikes me as your classic technology that in like 5 years, it's going to be like $400. The way really cool TVs when they came out in the early 2000s were $4,000, and then 5 years, maybe 10 years. 10 years later, they were fucking $400.
I was skeptical at first. I don't bow down before the great god of Apple, but I was really, really blown away.
Actually, to your point, I would like to disagree with you. I do think James Cameron cares more about the 99% than the 1%. He's the guy genuinely trying to make money.
No, but I also like when he tells us that we're dumb for not liking something.
Yeah, well, he doesn't understand that we don't need nine movies about blue
aliens.
aliens.
You say that, but he said that he already has the 6th and 7th Avatar movies planned, but he did say that he's not going to be directing them on account of he might be dead.
I'll tell you, I still don't know how well that second Avatar movie was received because no one's ever talked about it.
No one's ever mentioned it. People barely mentioned the first one.
I was gonna say it's been a lot of awkward silence from the quote unquote Avatar people for the last year or so.
I would also say that once Cameron is gone, they shouldn't make any Avatar movies because you need so much attention to detail that if he's not there, some movie company, they're just going to half-ass it. And
no, I don't agree with you.
The visuals of this movie is what sells it.
I don't agree with you because what's going to happen inevitably is George Lucas makes these Star Wars movies, and then a kid named Dave Filoni grows up on these Star Wars movies and becomes so obsessed with them that he actually knows more, I think, than George Lucas does. Like
you heard it here first. Dave Filoni is going to take over Avatar.
You know that Filoni sometimes poses questions to George Lucas, and George Lucas has never thought about that before. And then on the fly, he's just going to make something up, and Dave Filoni's like, "Oh yeah, that's why George is the best." There's gonna be a Dave Filoni type with Avatar. No,
it's
doubt.
like that Reddit feed that I sent to you, Davey, and Keith the other day of if Darth Maul is cut in half, how does he pee and poo? Davey had an answer immediately. So
yeah, I've never thought about it before.
I bet Filoni would immediately be like, because of this. News dump. I did not write this headline.
B is for Blackula, Gil.
When I read this, I was like, oh, are they making a Blackula movie?
Maybe.
No, but they aren't. Maybe. I then Googled it. They aren't making a Blackula movie.
They're sort of teasing it. Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler's new vampire movie is described as having undead in 1930 setting and anime influences.
Yeah, but none of that.
Michael B. Jordan might be Dracula.
No, okay, I agree that Michael B. Jordan is Dracula. I'll say that. That's fine.
Okay.
But Blackula implies that it's going to be a take on the spoof from the 70s.
No. Blackula implies that Michael B. Jordan is black and he might be playing Dracula.
No, I understand how they got the word Blackula. You don't have to explain that to me.
So B is for Blackula. Bang.
All right.
Nailed
So
it.
I am beating you
Crushed
in the
it.
headlines right now.
Crushed it.
News dump. Child, let me tell you. Ooh.
By the way, B for Blackula, a much better take on it than my original headline. B is for Vampire.
No, I like that better, actually. So John Williams, the great movie composer.
Yeah.
Turned 92 today. If you're listening tomorrow, he turned
That
it
is
yesterday.
old.
That's
That
fucking
is
old.
fucking
But
old.
I'll tell you what, and I'm sure that everyone does this often. Just run down his IMDb. What a fucking list. It'll never be touched.
Yeah.
It'll never be touched. And I have a 6-pack of his best compositions, his best scores, if you will, Mac. You ready for this?
Sure.
Jurassic Park.
All right. Yep.
E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Pretty good.
Home Alone. I know that some people might not put that on there, but I think his score really makes the movie.
No, I off the top of my head, I had 3 for sure. I'll let you finish before I tell you the 3 that had to be on there.
Superman.
Yep. Okay.
Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. The best part of that movie is the score.
Yeah. Duel of Fates is unbelievable.
Unbelievable. That might be the only Star Wars movie where I will listen to the movie soundtrack.
It's the only Star Wars movie who I know what one of the compositions is called.
And then Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back.
To not have Jaws on this list is a major
But
misstep.
Jaws is also almost too simple, though.
Goo, it's the most iconic.
I know simplicity is good. I know that, but
it's the most iconic 2 notes.
Jaws was close to me. Some of the Indiana Jones stuff was close to me. People love Harry Potter, obviously. I also love Catch Me If You Can.
It's the most 2 instantly recognizable notes in cinema history. It has to be on the list. To me, Jurassic Park, Jaws, and Home Alone were the 3 locks, personally. I think you got to put a Star Wars movie on there 4. And then I think 5 and 6, there's a toss-up because there's like 25 good options. But to me, Jurassic Park, Home Alone, and Jaws, definitive 3 on the list.
Yeah, while speaking with our boy Murph on social media earlier, where he gave me his list of 6. And I'm like, you could make probably 3 or 4 lists of 6 and have an argument for each list.
Yeah, I agree. It's that good.
So good. And then Wes the Wheelman asked a Danny Elfman list. And I will give you that when he turns 92. News down. Madame Web is being released next week, next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Valentine's Day.
Goo and I have not received the screener invite, which tells you this movie is going to be absolute dog shit. And this is weird, Goo. The closer we're getting, the more excited I am because I think it's going to be so bad, I'm going to be laughing in the theater.
Yeah. I think it's going to be terrible.
I'm really
excited about it. I've been very excited about it for a while.
Me and my date of a big bucket of popcorn is going to have a blast on Valentine's Day.
Me and the bucket of Dune popcorn are going to go to the movies.
Oh boy, what a
I'm
day!
So curious about those, about the teeth in the Dune popcorn.
Right?
Are they soft or are they how when
rigid?
You go over one of those speed bumps with the spikes?
Yeah.
How when you go over one side you're okay, but when you back over it, it's going to scrape you up.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen to my cock. That's what I'm getting at.
Just.
Sure, you got it caught again?
Just the mushroom tip stuck inside.
You got to pull it out. It's hard plastic.
Oh God. Yeah, I'm excited to see how terrible this movie is going to be. Maybe I'm turning a new leaf because I didn't want to see this movie at all. In the last 10 days, I've been super excited for it.
Listening to Sydney Sweeney talk about it, I'm like, what is she describing? Every time. What are you getting at?
I bet her scenes are great.
Probably not. I don't think anything's great in this.
I don't know, Goo. I'll tell you, anyone but you had no business being as good as it is. It is a very good rom-com, and it shouldn't have been. It was pretty cheaply made, and it is in large part as good as it is because of Sydney Sweeney.
All right, so that'll do it for right now. Check us out on Goose Day for our bird feed news dump of Super Bowl stuff. So news down.
Yeah.